having me. I'm really glad you are all here today. Um, what we're going to start off with, we have a very, very tight agenda, but I do want to give our industry folk an opportunity to introduce themselves. And what I'd like, if you could, I'm going to start, and then if you popcorn it to someone that doesn't have a college by their name, to introduce themselves. And what I'd like you to do, if you could please give us your name, your affiliation, your role, and what you'd like to learn or take away from today's meeting. Okay, so I am going to start with Brian Nowak.
Wow, making me the guinea pig, huh? Well, it's good to see a lot of familiar faces here. My name is Brian Nowak. I'm the founder and CEO of Magic Box. We are the world's first and currently only mobile virtual production LED volume. We are quite frankly, or quite literally, a semi-trailer that can be transported anywhere and in a matter of minutes, transform from that semi-trailer into a fully functioning LED volume. Our prototype has been circulating around California, in Northern California, and in Hollywood for about the past 7 months, to, I think, a really tremendous response, both from the motion picture industry down south and also the video production and technology industries up north. And we are currently in production with our Gen 2 model, which will be revealed at NAB in April. And it is absolutely a marvel of virtual production, and it's really going to be exciting to see that get revealed in the coming months.
Great.
And do I get to hand the ball over to somebody else now?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to hand it over to the mayor of virtual production, Mr. James Blevins. Who's on mute?
Hi, everybody. I'm James.
Oh, you're breaking up a bit, James. All right. Well, while James comes back, why don't we go with, is it Diana? And I'm not going to try your last name. Oh.
Me?
Yes. All right.
I'm sorry, I came in late. Are we just doing introductions?
Yeah, introductions. You could tell us your name, role, and what you
Sure.
hope to learn or take away today.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Diana. Last name, correct pronunciation is Dirivachte, but it's Swiss, which is extremely hard for pretty much everybody in America to pronunciate. So I usually just say Diriwachter is easier. But I'm the education lead over on the education team at Epic Games. And so I focus sort of on the areas of animation, film, and virtual production specifically. Hence, I am here to get to know all of you guys in the virtual production world. But on the education team at Epic Games, we're sort of the bridge between post-secondary and industry. So we're dealing with the companies, and we're always trying to facilitate and sort of figure out what are the new trends, what's happening right now. And then also kind of share that information, of course, with post-secondary, so universities and colleges, and help facilitate their needs and their programs and support the faculty that are, working so tirelessly on coming up with new curriculums and course plans and getting their students into industry. So we're sort of like right in between the two and trying to be that bridge. So we're excited to be here and hear what everybody has to say and get to know some new folks. So hi, Koina, see you here.
Thank you. And Jim, we're going to come back to you. You were breaking up and losing your connection.
How do I sound now? Am I better?
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, good. My name's James. I'm the co-founder of Mesh with my partner, Ben Baker. We are virtual production line producers. Before that, I was the post-production supervisor on The Mandalorian. In between those two things, actually, we just wrapped up our job with Francis Ford Coppola on Megalopolis. So I'm a working professional and was really pleased to be invited to this group. And thank you for the invitation.
Great, thank you. Why don't we go to Catherine?
Hey, I'm unmuted. Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm also a working professional. I'm a cinematographer and somebody who's also built a career in visual effects and have been supervising virtual production over the last 3 or 4 years for smaller projects with the USC's ETC group, on my own as an independent filmmaker, and then supervising larger features such as Black Adam, Rebel Moon with Zack Snyder, and Fallout.
Okay, next, what about Alex? Alex Pierce.
Hello, I'm Alex. I have a company called Lightsail VR. I'm one of the partners here. Lightsail does mostly 360 video and 180 for high-end brands like Meta and among a bunch of other ones. I actually joined about a year ago as a partner specifically to bring up our virtual production and visual effects verticals. So basically building a new vertical. I have a background in an Unreal and Blender and a bunch of 3D experience as well as 360 video. And recently we've been doing a lot with Disguise and Assimilate Live Effects to do 360 video background plates with virtual production. So specifically for like car shots, we tested it and we're able to use it at on the Magic Box there in LA recently. Worked really well. So yeah, sort of combining both live action and CG to do virtual production. And on top of that, I do like tutorials and stuff like that for virtual production and otherwise.
Great, thank you. And Kim, hi, nice to see you again.
Hello, thanks for having me. So my name is Kim Paris, and I am an emerging talent manager at Industrial Light and Magic. So part of my role is working with universities and colleges, and also helping run our emerging talent programs such as our Jedi Academy. So we recently just ran one in stagecraft for brain bar operators. So really interested in what you're planning and seeing how we can help with it. And maybe I'll pass it over to my partner in crime, Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Churchill. I'm the VFX training supervisor for Industrial Light and Magic. I shepherd all of the programs that train the trainers and train the artists. And I'm interested in where you're going with the programs that you have and what your offerings are.
Thank you. And Eric Weaver.
Hi, my name is Eric Weaver. I work with the ETC. I run virtual and adaptive production. We've had a couple productions come through, and I work with quite a few folks on this call. I guess my curiosity would be, what kind of assistance can we be, and what are you seeking help-wise?
Thank you. We definitely want to hear that and share that with you. Rachel Victor.
Good to be here. I work independently as a strategist and world builder on projects with storytelling and emerging tech. So sometimes virtual production, sometimes more metaverse, augmented reality, etc. projects. I'm really excited about being here because I think the pathways for people getting into the space aren't always very intuitive, especially on the educational side. So really excited to see the curriculum we've been developing and how I can help.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, now let's go. Is it Jeanette? Janet or Jeanette?
Hi, I'm not in industry. I'm dean at Diablo Valley College.
Okay, we want, if you're a college rep, if you would just put in rename yourself with your name and the college. Thank you. Ben Grossman.
Hi, that's me. I'm Ben. I work in Magnopus. I used to work in visual effects, and now I work in other, and sometimes other includes virtual production. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm here to help if I can be helpful.
Great, thank you. Barbara Marshall.
I am very happy to be invited to join this group. I work for HP and I'm the media and entertainment segment lead for the workstations division, so Z by HP. And virtual production is obviously an important part of the media and entertainment growing business. So very happy to get involved in any way I can.
Thank you. And then right next to you, I see Manesha. And I apologize for obliterating your
Hi, no, that's okay. Hi, everyone. I'm crashing today's meeting. I'm Manisha Fata. I'm the executive director of the San Francisco Film Commission, Film SF. I'm a dear friend of Sarah's, and I'm also from DVC, and I'm also on the DVC Advisory board. So I'm just excited to sort of listen in on this meeting. I'd love to see how San Francisco could be more involved and support this, as this is obviously really important for our students and in this area to, you know, build skills and have a pathway into production. So that's obviously really important to me. Sarah and I met at film school. So thank you. This is an incredible group. I'm so impressed.
Great. Yes, it is. And Khan is here. Khan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Con. I work in the virtual production product team at Amazon Web Services, and I'm involved with a couple of things, including building a reference stage in downtown San Francisco. So nice to meet you all again.
Great. Thank you for being here. And let's see, then we have Dimitri. No, that's a faculty. Faculty. And then we have Joseph, it's faculty. And Karash from Purple One. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody.
And if you would tell us your name, your company, and what you hope to take away today or learn today.
Hi, so my name is Karush Pernazar. My name comes from a Persian background where Pirko also comes from. So Pirko One is the name of my company. It's down in Irvine. We focus on a lot of different kind of 3D scanning and volumetric video, kind of different kinds of 3D recording, specifically related to scanning an environment and using it for pre-visualization for different kinds of television shows and films. Some of the slate of things that we recently worked on is like Ted Lasso, a new show coming out, Shrinking for Apple TV, Umbrella Academy, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Basically specialize in virtual production using a game engine for previs as well as 3D recordings, whether it be a 3D animated person, motion capture, volumetric video, or a still image of photogrammetry. And what I hope to get out of here is to share as much of the information that I have with you guys. I have spent pretty much the last 8 years of my life, put myself through a series of courses that I would say would equal like a master's degree in all of this before there was really a main course at any university. So I took some courses at University of Irvine, at UCLA, at USC, a bunch of different online courses like Upload VR, and a lot of tutorials on Udemy to learn C# coding, Python coding, and be able to use game engines like Unity and Unreal Engine. The focus mainly is for us to do enough scanning to do preservation, historical preservation in our 3D world, and to use virtual production for visualizing those spaces to share with as many people as would be interested. Currently working on a project in Iran, scanning certain monuments in Shiraz. Started about 6 weeks ago, right in the middle of all the hoopla that's happening there. Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
good to be here.
Thank you so much. Did I get all of our industry partners? Did I get everybody to give their introduction? If not, if you just open up your mic, and if I missed you, introduce yourself. All right, we've got everything. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Joanne Denny, who's the department chair at DVC, and she's going to move on to the next agenda item to give you an overview of the project and where we're at right now. Joanne.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's so inspiring to see you all here, especially our industry people. And I'm so thankful that you made the time tonight. James, Rachel, Catherine, Karush, and Eric. We love you, Eric. You helped us so much at Infinity. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just talk a little bit about who we are and what we're trying to do. So we are really a collaboration of 6 colleges, and we began meeting last year and talking about how we could really share curriculum and build a program in virtual production. And prior to that, we had not had a lot of connection. We really worked in silos, schools sometimes competing with each other for students. And so it was an incredible thing to bring faculty together as a community from the 6 colleges and to really start to collectively create a vision for what we wanted to do. And our mission is really the creation and implementation of a virtual production model curriculum. And this will include stackable certificates, an associate degree, and potentially a BA. And it's really exciting because, sorry, I meant to go to that slide, because when we were in our silos, when we weren't connected as a region, we did have degrees and certificates and we tried our best, but we really had so many issues. We couldn't really develop robust curriculum and offer it every semester. Often students had to wait to take classes. If classes were canceled, it really kind of delayed their progress. And we had strengths and we had weaknesses at each of our colleges. And so it was so great to come together and start to really share all the things that we knew and that we could support each other with. And our vision is to really provide the whole Bay Area community college student base across the region with an accelerated path to credentials. And our students come from a wide variety of backgrounds. We have first-generation college students from really diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, and we have working adults, we have career professionals with advanced degrees, skill, support diversity, vision, and we really strive to serve the needs of all our students. Our mission is to educate and empower and really to transform their lives and communities. And as faculty from 6 schools under the leadership of our wonderful manager, Olivia Hereford, we feel that we're at a point or a place where we can really build a very robust VP Academy. And we've already done quite a bit of the work. We have developed a certificate that will, our academy will open in fall 2023, and the first certificate will be available, which we're going to share with you tonight. And we have a couple of other like more intermediate certificates planned that we are in the process of developing. And then we hope to just build and stack until we get to our bachelor's. With 6 participating colleges, there's tremendous benefits. We have accelerated completions, we have cost sharing. All of our certificates are going to be stackable. Students will be able to take classes at any of the colleges. And we're developing a model curriculum, and we hope to really, leave our egos at the door, share our model curriculum, and become a powerful entity. And this is really huge for the community college system, because currently there are no collaborative CET programs or career technical education programs with more than 2 members. So we've had a lot of brick walls that we've had to sort of start to break down, and we're doing that. And we're enthusiastically moving forward and really changing public education in many ways to create this academy that we hope and feel is going to be an incredible achievement for the community college system. No single Bay Area college, probably no single community college, has all the courses necessary to prepare students to meet the demand of the growing virtual production industry. We know that. We have been funded. We've had what's called strong workforce program funding from the state, and that's been really useful, but we hope to get funded for the next year and the year after that so that we can continue with this mission. So industry, what can you do for us? And I know we're going to talk about this a lot tonight, but one thing you can do is just what you're doing. Come to our meetings, listen to us, help promote our academy, connect us to others that might support and help us. We need to be constantly engaged on some level with industry. We can't just build this program and then stop this connection. Industry has to be a constant force within our academy. And we need training opportunities for our instructors. We need guidance with our curriculum. We need guidance with technology and facility planning. And we need internships and work-based learning opportunities for our students. We need a lot of things that we're going to be asking of you, but we know that you're busy. So just coming to the meeting and supporting us and occasionally throwing out to your peers who we are and embracing us and making us part of your community is what we're really asking. And we hope to really support you. We're open to what your needs are, industry employee training, industry usage of our production facilities. We currently have 3, maybe 4 production studios that we are building. And the first one will open in 2 weeks at Diablo Valley College. We're really excited about it. We spent a long time sort of getting it all in place. We have a brand new facility. And so we will have these facilities spread out through our region to support students for our capstone courses in virtual production. So that's who we are, and that's sort of our mission and our goal. And we really feel and believe, and we're very excited about delivering a diverse and capable talent pool to serve your needs. And so thank you all for coming. It's just incredible to have you here. And we hope to continue our relationship with you and grow and expand it.
Thanks,
So
Diane.
turn it over.
I'd like to add too that in the Bay Area, in our region, our student population, over 70% are women and students of color. And so there's great opportunity here for diversity and inclusion. And I'm really excited about it. And Mark, it's been a while since we've seen each other, but the interest down at the high school K-12 level is also, you see that diversity of the students interested in this career path. So I know that there is goals in industry for more diversity, and I really think this academy is really going to address that issue as well. So I'm being really conscious of time here, we really want to start to get some feedback from you all. So one of the things that I'm going to share my screen just to show some talking points, and then I'll close it. Share my screen. We'd like to start first with getting getting your insights on the job market trends. How can we increase industry awareness of our academy, make those connections, how we can collaborate with students with getting them experience either in the classroom as guest speakers, doing career events, etc., internships. We want to hear about, these particular topics. And then we want to close it off with as much time as possible to give Mary Clark Miller the opportunity to actually drill down into the curriculum and tell you more about that. But we want to say that, I don't know if all of you are really interested in getting down to that level, so we're going to save that for last, but try to keep as much time for it as possible. But again, I'd like to, now I'm going to, stop sharing and ask you all to, give us your insight. What do you think that we need to know about the trends? What else can we do to engage you all in a better way? And again, how can we also help your needs as far as training needs? So I will stop sharing my screen and ask you all to chime in. I think one of the things, and I'd like to say that before the meeting here, Kawina, who works in the industry and teaches our capstone for our academy, is telling me she's about to graduate 4 students who have finished the certificate and already have jobs. So is that what we're seeing? If you guys can confirm that and say that we're on the right track there, that would be great.
Right. Well, as you know, at Laney College, I authored the first virtual production certificate in the state of California, certified by the state of California. It is the core and the basis by which we launched this larger program. And so we've sort of had a bit of a head start. So we will graduate our first class in December. And one of our employers is sitting right here, the wizard of the Magic Box. And in fact, our students will be a part of a groundbreaking, never before, Federal Department of Labor. Brian, can I announce this? Is it okay? So thank you. Federal Department of Labor, first ever in the nation virtual production apprenticeship program. This was done in direct collaboration with Brian Nowak at the Magic Box. We spent months since the early part of this year developing this apprenticeship program in conjunction with the Undersecretary of the Department of Labor and with folks at the state capitol in Sacramento in California. And this was concierge service that Brian can speak to. And so 3 of our students are hired by Brian. And Brian, if you have a moment to sort of chime in.
Yeah, sure. So it's really important for us in particular because we are not a one single location shop. We are building a fleet of Magic Box vehicles to deploy all across the country, and they need crews to operate them. And that requires obviously the mechanical know-how to transform the trucks and the technical know-how to operate the systems inside, the LED panels, the motion capture and tracking systems, the compute stack, but also the engine operation and the other software tools that we use. So our partnership with Galena in this effort to develop an apprenticeship program that is federally and state of California backed is all around training the operators of our crews. So we're going to be training ultimately hundreds of students, or not students, hundreds of employees in the operation of Unreal Engine and in the deployments of our fleet of Magic Box LED volumes across the country.
Thank you. The 4th of our students has been hired by a Department of Defense affiliated simulation program. So he will be a simulation artist developing simulations in Unreal Engine. And so I'm sort of supervising and consulting in that transition, but really exciting. And the work we've done also with Eric Weaver and James Blevins and Diana at Epic, just the support that we're getting. We just want to say that it doesn't have to be USC. It doesn't have to be UCLA. It doesn't have to be NYU. The demand, the desire for students who have had no background, who want this desperately and who are willing to come to the plate and pitch it. They are there. They want it. They want access. I'm so amazed that we have this group of people who are willing to open up their minds and say, they don't have to be UCLA. They don't have to be MIT. If they've got the desire to learn and the motivation and the training and the opportunity, then they deserve an opportunity, a chance to do so. Thank you all for being here and giving us this opportunity to speak about this. And you've got a great team here. Thank you.
And are there other of you that can attest to that? I mean, I think what we're wanting to get confirmed here is that is the talent gap, is the emerging growth of this industry. So again, sounds like that's been validated. What about how we can increase awareness of our program and make as many connections as with people like you in the industry? Organizations we need to reach out to, how do we get connected to them, etc.
A couple of, that's a question, Olivia, is it to us?
It's to the industry.
Yeah. So just a couple of things off the top of my head. I mean, obviously now there is a certain amount of evangelizing in our own organizations that we can do, but there may be some organizations like the Real Time Society the Metaverse Standards Forum. Just thinking who else might be relevant. Visual Effects Society, even BAFTA LA. So BAFTA has, you know, a strong presence in LA and has their own sort of student programs and things. So it might be nice tonight. I can connect you with BAFTA. I'm with my HP hat on involved. So there's some of the organizations that you might want to just develop relationships with, and there may be symbiotic opportunities given the programs that they're running.
Hi, this is James. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric, were you about to speak?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Jim. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So one of the things to keep an eye on, first of all, when you have your program, I think it's important to stay on, sort of see what Epic is doing at Unreal Fest. There were 4 different tracks in 2018. The last festival before this one, it was just game development. Now there's game development, automotive, architecture, and media and entertainment. So I think keeping an eye on that, what Unreal is doing is not just media and entertainment; it's a true emulator, and many industries are recognizing its usefulness. So keep an eye on that. But if we focus on media and entertainment for a moment, this year the studios are engaging with the local unions, and since you have this sort of you have your ducks in the row in terms of the Department of Labor. Unions to look at are 695, which is the projection union. They're beginning to train their users up because they're making the point that, well, it's a projection screen. I'm encouraging Local 800, the production designers, art directors, to start encouraging their people to get trained on Unreal, because they do need to be enabled on this, and those are some other channels you might explore.
Thank you.
The whole upskilling thing. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I would second what Barbara had said. Like VES is a great organization in terms of that they do a lot of outreach. We've worked with them in numerous sort of events, and they tend to be, want to be involved, or at least there's the key player. It's always like you got to find the right people within every organization, right? that want to be involved and want to make things happen. And in general, like one of the things we're doing on our team, for exactly because we have the same questions, like how do we get industry, how do we get the schools talking, how do we get everybody in one room? And for 2023, one of the things that we're definitely looking into is just doing more like social mixers. Just get a space, kind of like we're doing right now virtually, is find a space. And a lot of people are willing to host this kind of a thing is now that I'm starting to plan, like we're doing New York, we want to do one in LA, but really just get a space, invite all the companies in, invite all the schools, and then have some speakers, have some interesting topics, have a panel, and just get them in a room and get them talking. And there's, it's amazing how quickly magic can happen if you just get people together that tend to want to collaborate to begin with. And if they're showing up, they probably are the right audience and they probably do want to collaborate. And again, I'm finding that a lot of companies are wanting to host these kind of things, that even on the LED stage, like in New York, Car Stage just offered hey, why don't you just get everybody in here and we'll have a social mixer. And on the school side, a lot of schools are wanting to get people in there. So, and it's not that big of a lift. So I think that's a nice way, additional way besides of just talking to the organizations and making connections there.
Piggybacking off of that, Olivia, when we spoke last, I mentioned the initiative that we were doing where we're traveling the Magic Box all around California, doing demos of what it can do, but we're doing it at tech companies, we're doing it at studios, all sorts of different organizations. It's exactly what Diana was talking about, and we have already approached Adobe about the opportunity that I spoke with you guys about last time, where we could bring the students in, as well as bring other heads of organizations to see and experience not only the virtual production inside of an LED volume, which still there's many people have never even physically seen an LED volume, but to see, more importantly, a large group of students experience it for the first time and see how excited they get when they see that and when they step inside. And it goes from beyond watching behind the scenes of The Mandalorian to something that's real and tangible that they can touch and actually step inside. And I think creating those opportunities is easy, as she pointed out, and it's something that we're already doing right now. In fact, we have one going on the week of the 12th at Paramount Pictures. We'll be there all week doing that exact thing. We're going to be back up in the Bay Area at Adobe in January. There's other organizations that are looking to host these type of events. So I think if we can collaborate to open up some doors, we can bring a lot to the table with the people that are here. There's also social media influencers in the Bay Area like Mark Robber, or down in LA like Tim King, whose backgrounds come in technology and even in, like, I don't know if you guys know Tim King now. He's more of kind of a magician, but he started off being a Final Cut guy and doing Final Cut editing hacks on YouTube. So these are types of people that have millions of younger people following them, and they're influencing the decisions they make with their college educations and the career paths they want to choose. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to start bringing those people into the fold, into this group right here, and start talking about how we can communicate and message with those people, and bring in the connections we have with the businesses here, like ILM, who I did a demo, in fact, in the Presidio 3 weeks ago, and the Stagecraft group came down and learned all about Magic Box. And these types of opportunities are easy, fast, and relatively cheap to put on and get the bigger community involved. But I think we need to have those mouthpieces like the social media influencers to really get that message in front of the audience that we want to target, the students.
That's great. And we definitely want to follow up on the discussions of participating in the Adobe event that we talked about, because that would be a really good kickoff to doing these kind of things. Any other comments? I've heard about, a couple of you mentioned the need for the industry. I think, well, maybe might have been Karina, of training provided to the industry. And also that's something, as Joanne mentioned in her presentation, that we're interested in collaborating on as well. Any other insights into that?
I think adjacent to the media entertainment space, there are also a lot of brands, not just in the automotive space, but now increasingly with apparel, footwear, they're interested in virtual production for like virtual photo shoots, virtual video, all of that kind of space. But there's still a lack of education kind of targeting them and showing them the opportunities. So I think there's still a space kind of there to really step in and also, connect emerging students into that world.
Yeah, I would agree. If you look at the snapshot I put in for Unreal Fest, that gives you a breakdown of the attendees for the conference. So you can kind of see all the different groups beyond games. The Valley is especially ripe for wanting to move to metaverse experiences. And that's just not film production. It's a lot of things in between, which include physical products and other things, which are very interesting. I'm going to have to second the idea of mixers and guest lecturers. I think you should just rotate colleges. And if you just pull people from this group right here, people like Catherine Brilhart are amazing to hear her stories and her experiences. Rachel Joy Victor, awesome. And then you have one of the biggest guys in the biz here, Ben Grossman. So, I mean, if you did something like that, I think would be exceptionally, and you just kept it on a particular, like a cadence of once a month, we're going to be doing this, and just go around to the different schools. So that's to the last point you were addressing there. But
in fact, we have we do monthly tech talks on more ICT, IT type talks, and maybe we have enough interest now. And I know I was introduced to Catherine as we're hoping that she could be our first virtual production tech talk speaker. We're hoping to get that started in February, and it sounds like we would have enough interest to do that on a regular basis. Lauren, we could do IT and we can do virtual production. We could have one every month. would love to coordinate that. And you know, those generate a lot of interest in the students.
I also wanted to just really quickly throw in that, you know, any conferences are always, people are already all there. Like you don't even have to send an invite in a way. So I just want to send out a reminder, like if there's any conferences anybody like you guys are at as a group, that's a really easy way to be like, hey, tomorrow, let's all just, you can even make it more informal. Let's all meet up there and start talking. And of course, if you can get a room and do it like Eric said, that's even better. And you can have a topic and some demos and a speaker. But a conference is just a great place because everybody's already there. You don't even have to get them there, just as a reminder.
I know it's like a little bit off this topic, but I think it's related. I'm really curious in seeing the curriculum, and I'm curious if it's already written or if that's something that the group of us are able to participate in writing or contribute to, because I think that that would give me even more structure for understanding how all the colleges are banding together to support students getting into the workforce. You know, James mentioned unions and those kind of rules, but really in virtual production, similar to visual effects, that business model doesn't necessarily apply. And so they're just different paths for professionals, you know, that are going to be in virtual production. And I think for me, like seeing that curriculum and how it's going to be taught and how the subject matter is going to be approached is really important.
Perfect segue, right, Mary?
Right.
Right, perfect segue. So we can use the last 15 minutes or so to allow Mary to talk about the curriculum.
Okay. So let me share here. Ignore the mess of my screen until I do this. Okay. So okay. I've been Zoom issues. Every time I share, sometimes it decides to bomb. If it bombs, Olivia, can you share the slides and I'll talk over them?
Yeah. So you go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull up some supporting documents. You go ahead.
And it did it. So Olivia, if you can share.
Okay. The same deck?
Yeah, the same deck.
Okay. All right. Let me go there.
Okay. So one of the things that we've been doing, like talking about what curriculum has been developed and where do you come in, we took, in order to get the Academy started, we had a look at what courses we currently had and put together essentially what Eric put into the chat for pillar 1, the creation pillar. And we took our computer graphics courses, our visual effects course, game course, and then a capstone with Koina's virtual production class that she has over at Laney. And we pulled all of that together to create a VP fundamental certificate. And that is currently going through all of the different schools' curriculum committees, and DVC actually just got theirs approved through BICC, and the rest of us are sort of like 1 or 2 steps behind, but we're getting there. Okay, so for the input from industry, so this is the VP fundamentals, and it shows like, you know, it's sort of like it's the basic entry, right? So it's building the foundation for virtual production. And then the plan is to take those students and then give them the opportunity to enter into 2 slightly different strands for a level 2 certificate, one that's geared more towards the stagecraft, and then one that's geared more towards like the technical artist side, the creation side. And that's where we're like about to embark and start building out what we are going to hope is a model curriculum set of courses that will be offered by all 6 colleges, others whenever they decide to come on board. And it just means that we unify what we're teaching. And whenever we took a first look through everything, we realized that we were actually already pretty much in common step with each other. And it was just more about verbiage of outcomes that needed to be sort of cleaned up a bit. But as we move forward, we want to know, are we going in the right direction? What gaps do we have? Where are the areas that we need to look at? And if you look at what Eric posted, he posted what Eric likes to call is the 3 pillars. And this is sort of like what Eric's been working on, and hopefully we will be able to adapt some of this. And then looking at the 3 pillars, what Eric has, what we have, and then where are the gaps in there that we actually have to develop new curriculum or adjust curriculum that we already have. So if you move to, so in development, so we've got the film production, which is more the stagecraft, and pulls in all the video students and gets them used to thinking about real-time compositing, green screen lighting, lighting effects, all that sort of stuff, working in that virtual set. And the plan is to integrate some of that into existing courses, because we can always adjust content as long as we've got, you know, the right outcomes in place for those courses. And then in the technical artist side, to make sure that we are not just, because we have been teaching Unreal as a game engine, but now we're transferring it over to virtual production as well as game. And one of the interesting things, and Karina, you might have found this as well, is that game students might know Unreal, but they don't understand camera. And so it's like their doom-induced sickness came to mind whenever I saw one student's particular attempt at the camera, and it was like, you don't have to move that fast. So we know from like the students that we currently have that want to get into it, where we need to make some adjustments, but we want to make sure that you have, as industry players, input in what we are teaching to make sure that we are on the right track and that our curriculum is not just surface, that it actually has rigor embedded into it, and that your expectations of the students that we're producing actually becomes a reality, that we're not trying to be superficial, that we're trying to dive deep into it. And
are there any questions about this? Like, as Mary pointed out, these are, you know, what we're thinking about for these next 2 certificates. Any questions or comments about that? Because I think, Mary, you want to go on to the next one that we're thinking about, but before we
do that, like what, so we put in that in development slide, just the selection of types of courses that we can include in here. And we're, you know, Karina already has a head start with the virtual production groupings, like at Laney. At BCC and other colleges, we have video production classes, we have animation production classes, where we are doing a lot of the stuff already, but that we need to essentially go into the curriculum and really sort of define the outcomes to make sure that we're actually doing what we think we're doing. So Catherine, did you have any, or Ben?
No, I just to chime in really quickly, a really quick question. Is this, when it says VP there, this means virtual production, film production? Okay.
Yeah.
Because, so there are other course curriculums and programs for general video production or film production and things like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the specialization of virtual production, I very rarely encounter some of the things that you have on the screen here, like sound design, sound recording, audio and video editing. In some capacity, it may be that having too broad of a curriculum means you're trying to feed too much information to the students that becomes more of a general purpose film production degree rather than a specialization or certification in specifically virtual production. And you may find that you have a more focused path to certification if you're specializing in the areas that are unique to virtual production rather than general film production at large. And so I would say that if you were to focus these certifications, as you said, so they can stack, you could have a general film production, you could have a sound design. I mean, if you're into the thing, you know that sound mixing and sound design are like totally different planets, audio recording and so on. All these subdisciplines could be broken up into certificate programs so that you have a nice little skills tree that looks like, you know, all the video games the kids play these days. Motion graphics is a similar sort of thing. You know, set and stage design fits into production design. And specifically in virtual production certification, what we're really looking for is, you know, there's a small circle of talents and skills that exist between digital production or visual effects and physical production, you know, that you know from the traditional crafts. And virtual production encompasses these areas that bridge that spectrum. And I think being able to focus more specifically on that part of film production will help the students get where they need to go faster and be more valuable to the commercial market and industries when they come out the other end. It's sort of a similar thing in virtual production technical artists. We have, I don't know, 40 technical artists here at the company, and they're very important people. They're also extremely hard to find. And ironically, while we have some who have 25 years of experience working at, you know, Call of Duty and blah, 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 some of our greatest artists came straight out of colleges and became great because they didn't know any better. And the focus on what makes a technical artist different than a real-time artist or an artist of, you know, modeling and CG and things like that is actually again a narrow subset of what's on the screen here. So you could remove some things from this that would hone in on that, although some of these are general concepts. I might remove things like concept art, compositing, and motion graphics, because that's not what a technical artist would be doing necessarily. Although you could create another curriculum that's more like on-set real-time artist or on-set engine operator, and start breaking down some of these things that people commonly refer to as the brain bar, which is sort of a contentious term that, you know, comes in and out of fashion. But I would say that it might be easiest for all of us on this call if there was like a shared Google document-y type thing where you could say, hey, here's all the stuff. And then we could throw some comments in there and be like, hey, maybe this is missing. And I don't think that that's really fits into this box quite so neatly.
Okay.
That would be helpful, I think, if that was what you're interested in. These are all very good things, but they're a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Catherine.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. No, I agree with that too. And I think another place that my mind goes as well is just that there's such a broad range of types of virtual production as well. You know, there is virtual production in a physical space that, you know, LED wall is sort of a trend right now, but then there's also exciting methods of virtual production that live inside the game engine that bring physical components into more of an animation or visual effects workflow. So I think the Google Doc is a great space for us to collaborate and brainstorm.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Catherine. A lot of people confuse virtual production with exclusively being associated to LED stages, and the vast majority of virtual production is in fact happening in people's basements, in schools, in their homes, or in small teams and offices. And so it's actually a minority of virtual production projects that are specific to LED walls, whereas you can produce an entire movie from start to finish in virtual production, never setting foot on an LED stage, but giving the students the discipline and knowledge to understand when one thing transitions into the other and what common things feed all of them is part of, I think, something that I would sign Martin Scorsese up for this class if it taught him what those differences were. So I think you'd probably be in a pretty good position.
I totally want to second what Ben and Catherine are saying there. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely a trend that I find where, you know, visual effects artists don't get to learn a lot about, you know, physical production specialties, even going into post, don't get to have hands-on experience seeing what visual effects pipelines are or how those artists work. And I've even had a conversation recently with Chapman about whether they would consider partnering with a school like Nomen Visual Effects to have students teach students, because like Chapman has all these resources, but they don't really teach visual effects. So they have all these amazing directors and cinematographers going out into the universe, sort of perpetuating the same issues that we have in Hollywood right now that keep, like, you know, like some of the business models that we're forced to work in, like whether it's unions or just small businesses, production companies, all this. Like we just need more people coming to the workforce who are thinking about structuring their projects differently and who are inspired by each other's artwork. So
I would absolutely second that, Catherine. But with this caveat that the assumption when we say VFX is that this virtual production work is always going to be supported by VFX and VFX only. And I think that it's important to realize that we should really understand that just as the game developers had a rough time keeping up on a VFX schedule, I think that we have to take a look at the art departments and art directors and take a look at their schedules and budgets. And when we train these people, understand that we always want to go for perfection in our work, but the point of diminishing returns might be different with an art department as opposed to a visual effects house. And I think that allowing that sort of that sort of idea to go the other way, that VFX is going to get exposed to the demands of quick turnaround in an art department world, might better inform some new people, right? That might be able to really, you know, those new vendors that might be able to help out art departments and sort of free it up a little bit and get new people to think about how to engage with the production, just like you said, Catherine.
Speaking, to follow up on that, James, because you reference departments so much, it's an interesting observation to say that perhaps the curriculum makes sense to organize the way films are organized departmentally or contextually. So right now you show film production and you show technical artists. And what I see there is a very broad umbrella for film production, and then an extremely specific job title for technical artists. And so you might think a certification in virtual art department is an appropriate place to fit between production design as film production, or visual effects art department. A virtual art department is like, okay, that's a specific department that I can go work in, and I can get a job on specific jobs that I know are on specific productions.
That's
you could also have, you could also say volume operations is a very that's sort of the sort of cleaner brain bar term. Volume operations is specifically, you're going to need to know video, you're going to need to know engine, you're going to need to know distribution. Yep. To some extent, you may need to be exposed to a few other things like DMX and blah, blah, blah. But volume operations will be a, you know, hey, that's a job I can apply for. And there are maybe 5 or 6 different jobs around that in that department. So thinking about what the organization chart looks like for film production in specifically virtual production may give you an easier path to organize people and say, I'm more attracted to art, so I'm headed towards the virtual art department because I also am attracted to real time and not 100-hour frame renders. Or I'm more interested in engineering, so I'm going to go in this direction. And you could spread things out that way.
Yeah, those are some good suggestions. We since we are like starting from scratch, like the fundamentals introduces them to the virtual production concepts, right? So we give them like what the game engine is. We give them, you know, the basics so that they can at least see what's next and what's up. So then the hope is to take that sort of departmental approach and give the students the opportunity then to say, oh, I'm really interested in this part, and then go through that system. So we can look at what we can, how we can organize, how we can put those courses together, or develop the new courses, as you say, that maybe relate in name and nature closer to what virtual production is, rather than us just using our computer graphics courses and video classes without name changing. And make it clearer to the students what path they're actually going to go down. So it'd be yeah, and to use maybe what Eric's working on with the 3 pillars.
So we're at 5:30, and one of the reasons that we put the curriculum last is we didn't know how much of a deep dive. We want to make sure that we had as many of you with us for as long as possible. If any of you need to leave, please do so. But I am willing, and I think Mary and our team are willing to stick around a little longer to continue this conversation. But I do want to thank you all that have to take off. We really appreciate you participating. But we're willing to stick around and hear more of the comments on the curriculum if you're willing to share them with us.
I would love to give you the time. I do have to jump off. I'm terribly sorry.
But Olivia, I think what I would ask is like, what's the plan moving forward for this group? Is this a group that you want to get together on a regular basis, monthly, quarterly, or like what's the plan?
Well, it is a requirement for all community colleges to have an advisory meeting at least once, sometimes twice a year. But given this particular nature of the project, if y'all were willing to get together quarterly, we would love that. And particularly since we've got a lot to do and we're trying to do it quickly. So if we could meet on a more frequent basis, if you all are willing, we'll send out the invite and we'll continue to do these meetings.
I mean, obviously,
I am for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, I was going to say I'm happy to participate. I do think the Google Docs idea is a good idea, so that there can be work going on outside of the meetings or collaboration outside of the meetings.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. The Google Doc, so that it could be ongoing.
Yes, we can get that started. In fact, it's very timely because we're having another faculty session the beginning of January, and we can put all that together and start to share it out with you.
Great.
Right.
Oh, and thanks, Lauren. You've given us the link already. I'm going to have to jump as well. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
So Mary, do you want to just briefly just talk about your thoughts about the VP professional certificate?
So we talked briefly about having like a wide variety of students that come to community college, those starting from high school, right from Mark's end of the sphere, all the way through to associates and then on to degree, which we hope that we will be developing and get approved. But we also have skill builders, right? So skill builders are essentially students that come in that have degrees already, or even master's programs, but now I want a career change. And that's something that I know Coena is interested in looking at as well. And that's something that, is there a marketplace there? As you said, you wanted to get a couple of directors maybe to come back to school, but what is the interest on having more of, I guess, a fellowship approach, Diana, like something like that, where industry professionals would come in and maybe do an intensive certificate to fill in their missing gaps? Or is there such a wide range? Is that even possible?
I mean,
yeah,
I think the fellowship approach is very effective, but it's also kind of needs a lot. Like it really requires a serious commitment, which I think that's honestly one of the hardest things that even we run into, like where it's like free, but for people to take off 5 weeks or 3 weeks, and dive in and have the support that a fellowship offers, like in our case, where it's, there's a whole staff, that can be challenging, I think, for a school to take on. But on the other hand, I will say there's different ways to do that. So it doesn't have to be 3 weeks full time. You could space it out more. But I think what things to think about with that approach is And I don't even know if people are familiar with the fellow. Is everybody familiar with the fellowship format?
Both Kawina and I went through it. And
Yeah, I know you. Well, so just a brief overview of what it is. So in our case, the traditional fellowship is a 5-week program where we invite industry I have to say experienced industry professionals to learn Unreal. And basically they come in, we teach them, you know, the basic classes. It's structured. It's a cohort of 100 people that we split up into 10 to 15. They are assigned a mentor. So each team has a mentor that's overviews. They're almost kind of like a producer. So by the end of the week, they kind of see where everybody's at and they help the project along. Because by the end of the 5 weeks, the idea is that you have a finished short up to 3 minutes. That's the goal, is to have a finished short, sort of previous style. And again, the mentor's there to sort of keep track of that progress. Then there's TAs that are there just for technical support. So if people are running into technical problems, there's always someone there to be like, oh, you don't know how to do this broke in your scene, I can fix it for you. And then of course there's live instructions where they're actually teaching the different subjects: intro to Unreal, lighting in Unreal, sequencer. So it's a very solid system, and you almost can't fail because there's people there all the way. So that's the traditional one. But again, we've seen people do similar things in 3 weeks and even shorter programs. But again, it just becomes trickier because it's like, what's the goal? What is the outcome of that project? And what are your expectations for them to be successful? Like, what does success look like to you in a program like that? That would be the big question. Just to go through it, or do they need to finish something? Yeah.
Yeah, I think from a professional standpoint, it would be to have something to show at the end, right? So to finish something. So
I mean, that I think is the nicest format. It's just a percentage, how many can complete it and what is the support that you can sort of provide.
I know the fellowship is pretty intense. It's like 50, 60 hours a week.
That's what I'm saying. So it just depends on how you look at it. But, you know, I don't think it has to be that for everybody. You can sort of take that idea and then, you know, make it something similar in that it's a little bit of a boot camp. You know, there's a little bit of pressure. There is some extra support and attention because it is a special program and there is a goal. Like those, you can just take some of the ingredients out and then kind of make it a new thing, which I think could still be very effective.
Okay, thanks. I think we can actually work towards that. And I would share this, but from what we have already, I'd say that we've got pretty much down pat the creation pillar 1. With some adjustments, like as Ben suggested. The shooting pillar 3 probably needs a little bit of work for, you know, green screen lighting or director of photography. Like Eric talks more about the different departments. And then pillar 2 is probably an area that we probably need more input on. Right, which is the DMX workflow, the video engineering part, the pass through, like the data management of the streaming going through from the LED wall back and forth, and then some of these other pieces. Eric, are you still here, Eric? Does Eric leave? There's other areas in the pillars that would need a little bit more explanation. And I know Con is very much into this area of it. So that might be something that we can follow up on later to see if we can possibly do that, or is that going to be somebody else to do that?
Yeah, I think that's sorry, just to add, like that for me has been, because I you know, we went through the fellowship as well, right? Actually, it felt like I was in architecture school again. Pushing like 60, pushing 60 hours at like the last minute. But anyway, I like my thing is that there's like layers of complexity that you keep bolting on, right? So, for example, you know, as we build products for cloud pipelines, right, and automation of that, even that requires a lot of knowledge just about those components. It doesn't matter which vendor you're on, what technology you're using, but that's almost like one further step down the rabbit hole. And you can't be effective at doing that unless you have the knowledge around the tooling that you're reliant on, right? And that goes on, like, maybe it's left brain, right brain, or right brain, however you look at it, right? The physical onset infrastructure on the one side, and then all the software and digital components on the other side. So like there's another whole dimension to that. And I think one thing students will encounter if there's not an easy way to organize these things, not only from perspective of their brain, but retaining knowledge, is how do you retain all of that knowledge? Because you have to, like, you know, stay in practice with that. So you have to be in some kind of active participation or building something or working towards a thesis where you're basically touching the tools, you know, every day. Otherwise you start to lose that knowledge and then things start falling apart at crunch time. So I'm not sure how, you know, how you're thinking about handling that, because for me that's a pretty complex, like, you know, body of knowledge that one has to like retain in order to be effective.
So that
I will say that these pillars, the part of the development for these pillars is that Eric and I we're both on the advisory panel for SMPTE, Society of Motion Picture Television Engineers. And so we are also developing a global curriculum for training for virtual production. Pillar 3 speaks to our efforts for upskilling for industry folks. As I've worked very closely with Local 600, which is the cinematographers union. And so this actually mirrors our development efforts with Local 600. So Pillar 3 is really a focus more towards professional upskilling, and in my development with training development with 600. And what we're seeing across the board in unions, and Diana can speak to this really very well, and I'm sure Constantine as well, as well as Kim, they don't have the time to do a fellowship. They need they need week-long boot camps. They need it very targeted. So if there's going to be one on color, if there's going to be, how do you do sound mitigation issues in the glass box of a volume? How are you handling your white balance in a volume and your black point, on an LED screen? These are really in the weeds, very targeted, very sharp, for high level of skill for industry folks. And that is what Pillar 3 is really speaking to. And like I said, I know that Diana and Kim and Constantine can probably speak more even about that, as well as Brian, about the upskilling for industry folks.
Okay, so we'll focus on level 2 and get that as our next step and our next goal, and then work towards the 4-year approach, so that we can make sure that we have something that students can actually work with. And then while we develop that, then COENA, will work together to look to see what's feasible in a professional certificate, because community colleges don't normally work in that method, but there's ways that we can make it happen where, like as Con said, you have to be doing it every day. You have to, have that or be touching it. So it could be something where we have like that, like your class that we're using for the fundamentals, and you have the others as well, that something like that is braided in while they learn specifics in other areas that they're interested in. So that's probably what we would have to do, is like have a braided system. And, whether it's a weekend or during the week, we've done that before, where we've condensed a semester class into a certain number of weekends to have them finish faster and more concentrated, usually for people that are working. So we can also talk about the modality of how these classes are offered. And we do want to have a lot of online components to this so that it is more flexible. And that's one of the requirements for the bachelor's degree. And a lot of it, as you said, does not have to happen on the stage, but they need to be aware of that and how that all works. So that would maybe be doing something that, you know, those classes could happen at the weekend or whatever, but that's getting way down into the weeds. And that is more about making sure that we have the outcomes that are needed for each of those areas. So I think that's that's our work for spring. And we will definitely do the shared Google Doc to look for input from industry to make sure that we're actually heading in the right direction. And you can help us navigate through the different tidal waves of information that we're about to try and digest and work with. And then and maybe we can meet up in January to sort of like kick this can down the road to get it started for the level 2 certificates.
So I think that we have a good plan going forward here. We, as I mentioned, our faculty are getting together the first part of January and to start to actually get down into the weeds of the curriculum. And I think if we could start that Google Doc and start to at least share with you our initial thoughts, and so we get your feedback, get it organized by the pillars, how you're suggesting, and then maybe what we could do, you know, maybe this group could maybe get together more in the February timeframe, give us some time to, you know, digest all of this and put together a starting document that in early January for you all to start taking a look at. But I think that we also see that we brainstorming. We probably could start with just some ideas that we didn't get today. Thank you, Lauren. We can start there. But I think we'll have a lot of good content to share after our faculty get together in January. So I was trying to keep this to 15 extra minutes left. We're at actually 17. I really want to thank you all for hanging in there with us. This has been very, very valuable. And I'm really just so excited that you're willing to continue to work with us on a more frequent basis. That is just incredible, and we're really appreciative of it. So, and thanks again. I think all of you have my email. If there's any other questions you have in between now and our next communications, please get in contact with me. I know I'm going to be doing a lot of LinkedIn connections for all of you folks. So that's my way of staying in contact. So anyway, I want to thank you again for your time. We really, really appreciate you. We really, really do. And, you know, and and hopefully you have some evening left to enjoy. Great. So
yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.